Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to our session about Dreamwork as pluriversal practice. I am Stephanie and this is Minna, and we will be guiding you through this. It's the evening here in Costa Rica where we are arriving to you from. And Albert is getting translation going. Albert va,
N
no?
no, you can listen to me, right?
Yeah.
Then no. We
Okay.
are we are having some trouble with that tech hosting of it, but we are fixing. Estamos arreglando
Okay.
la interpretación.
Pero vamos a tener traducción? Sí. Okay. We'll have translation into Spanish in a moment. We shared that song. So that song is called Lo que le pasó a Hawaii, by Bad Bunny. And we shared it because at the beginning of the song, he says, Es un sueño que yo tuve. It's a dream that I had. And if you listen to the NPR Tiny Desk concert in which he sings that song, he tells the story about how that song came to him in a dream. And the whole song, he tells the story that the song woke him up and he tried to go back to sleep and it kept waking him up, waking him up, waking him up until he wrote it down and then he could go back to sleep. And for those of you who don't speak Spanish, I recommend looking up the lyrics. It's a very, very powerful anti-colonial song. It's about gentrification and liberation and maintaining connection to the land and cultural traditions. And so it's really an example of the way the land dreams through us, and a very powerful example of that. And I think it's also an example of the importance of paying attention to our dreams, that we receive very potent messages from our dreams and creative inspiration from our dreams if we're open to paying attention to them. And so that's what we'll be exploring tonight, deepening our connection and our relationship with our dreams. I also wanted to make a little connection. I opened up the rec email this morning, and there was a quote in the email from one of yesterday's sessions. And the quote said, this was from the session on practicing discernment with Nicole Civita. And the quote is, surrender the imprints of coloniality, invite the land to dream through you. So it felt like a beautiful synchronicity to see that, because that's the approach we're trying to take tonight with all of you and what we're inviting us into. So we're going to start just by introducing ourselves. I'm Stephanie. She, her pronouns. I live here in Costa Rica where I teach at the University for Peace. This is my fifth rec, so I love this community and this gathering very much. In terms of dream work, I've been writing down my dreams as long as I can remember. It's something I started doing, I guess, intuitively as a child and was just really fascinated by them. And so have been writing them down for decades. And then when I was doing my doctoral studies at Pacifica Graduate Institute, which the program was in depth psychology with a focus on community liberation and eco-psychologies, we studied community dream work, and that opened me up to this whole other realm of possibilities when we share dreams with each other and make and uncover meaning together. And yeah, with that, I'll pass it over to Minna, who will share her own story and then how we came about doing dream work together.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see some friends, some new friends, and yeah, thank you for joining us. My home is based out on the lands of the Coast Salish peoples, also known as Seattle, Washington. And I have I come to Dreamwork through my ancestors. My mother, when I was a little child, my mother would just talk about her dreams with other mothers. And they would do it over the phone calls or while they were making food, just sitting around talking. It was really normal. It was just a normal part of conversation, everyday life in Korea. And so it wasn't unusual in any way. It wasn't like this extra thing, this extra witchy thing that my mom did. It was just a part of life. And so I've always casually been relating to my dreams in that way. In this casual way, I would tell the dreams and not really make much more of it. And then I started to have some really deep somatic experiences through my dreams. I don't know how many people have experience with sleep paralysis here. Does anyone know what sleep paralysis is? Or have, yeah, I see some nods. So basically, my body is reacting to something that's happening in my dreams. And it used to frighten me until I was advised by somebody I trust very much that maybe I can surrender to it and see what it's trying to show me. And it opened me up into a whole realm of doing work with my ancestors. And so I continue to do that work. So in my sleep, it's very active. I'm actually doing a lot in my sleep, and the dream is aiding me in that. So how did Stephanie and I get connected? Well, we have to go back to 2022. We met at the International Institute of Peace Education in Mexico City. It was the very first morning that we're all getting together. I come down to, we have these big circle tables that people are sitting at, and I come down and I was like, does anyone do dream work? Because I had a really weird dream last night. And Stephanie very enthusiastically was like, I do, I love it. And so I continued to tell her this really wacky dream and got everyone else at the table just organically got involved in the conversation. And every morning at IIPE, Stephanie and I would sit at a table every morning at breakfast and just invite people to share dreams. And it became this like beautiful morning ritual that got woven into community very organically. And it did a number of things. It brought out humor. Some intimate details got shared. So it was just a different way of relating that IIPE, it wasn't a part of the fixed schedule, but it was able to be brought out through Dreamwork. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, yeah, that feels complete.
Yeah. So now we want to share with you, so what's happened since Stephanie and I have continued to connect over our dreams. We've published an article on it, and we started to host monthly Dreamwork with whoever wants to come. And we then we created a document so that we had this touchstone that we could come back to when we do our Dreamwork. And so, oh, I forgot to mention that. Yes, we would first, before we get into that, we would love to hear from the group about what's drawing you to Dreamwork. Why are you here today? And let me check in. Do you think a quick go around would work?
I think we're too many for we
Yeah.
could do break. I don't
Let's
know.
do
Do you want to do breakout?
Yeah, yeah. We're being really emergent right now. We're like, let's see who shows up. So because there's a really beautiful like number of us, it's gonna take a while to do a whole go around. So instead, we'll do breakout rooms. So if Fatima, if you can support, is it Fatima?
Oh, I don't know. If we can't, can we do breakout rooms, tech friends? If we can't, what we'll do is just invite folks in the chat to share what drew you to this session. And maybe a few people could unmute. Do you want to just
let's
do
do
that?
that.
We can do that.
Yeah, so take a moment, feel into what's bringing you to this session, and we can maybe please feel free to put it into the chat. We'll ask for maybe 3 or 4 people to unmute and share into the whole Zoom room.
Yeah, if there's anyone who would like to share what drew them to this session, maybe you could. Yeah, Sarah, go for it.
Hi, everyone. As Stephanie said, that she's been noting down the dreams. I've also been doing that for 2 years now. And actually what happened like while I was doing that is that my dreams change and like kind of different narratives come up every now and then. They change and they follow like a track. And since I've been starting painting also, and meeting people that were more like aligned with my vision, I started to have dreams that were so realistic and so vivid that I really felt the urge to paint it. For example, I have one here that I'm doing. And this is just like a symbol or like how big a dream can impact your life or like your expression. And so I was just curious to see what type of workshop was this. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, we try to practice reciprocity with our dreams. So like painting images from dreams, doing calligraphy from dreams, even just writing them down. Those are our acts of reciprocity we can engage with our dreams. Thank you for sharing that.
There's some beautiful shares in the chat. Thank you. Yeah, is there anyone else who would like to share, who would like to unmute and share?
Yeah. And Thea, thank you for sharing what you shared in the chat, and just glad that you're here. And yeah, important to note that dreams are not like dreams bring up so much. And it can be very hard. And I think that's one of the things about dreams. They're a portal into everything, all aspects of our experience, the painful, the beautiful, the messy.
Yeah. Yes, Rachel.
I can quickly share. I am also like I'm bringing curiosity and a little bit of fear. Like perimenopause, like my sleep got really, really messed up. And now I'm on the other side and I have been meditating for the past 2.5 years. And I almost feel like meditation and dream, like I'm curious about the relationship because it is just this like stream of consciousness. Um, and I think meditation has like helped my sleep and just kind of being in the shit storm, I guess, so to speak, just like learning how to be in the shit storm of like whatever's going on, just having to sit with it. And so I guess I'm bringing curiosity around like when I do have trouble sleeping, like I'm starting to befriend it more. But I have had just like sleep has like the biggest symptom around like my menopausal experience has been like insomnia and just like difficulty sleeping. And I'm just wondering if like, yeah, by developing a relationship with my dreams, that might improve my relationship with sleep.
Beautiful, Rachel. Thank you so much. And yeah, you used the word befriending, and I think we were using that word yesterday or the day before when we were talking about it, that's really what we're trying to do here is like deepen our relationship with our dreams and befriend them, and explore that relationship.
You want to get into that?
Yeah. So thank you folks who shared in the chat as well. And with that, and kind of on that note, we'll move into sharing a little bit about how we approach Dreamwork. We're going to share, we have a handout that we're going to share with you that has all of this. Do we want to maybe put that in the chat so that folks, if they want to read it, can be looking at it as we do that? So that handout is coming in, and we're just gonna basically go through it and share about how we approach Dreamwork. And then also kind of how we try to hold the space of tending dreams together. So we believe Dreamwork is a practice of attending to and building a relationship with dreams. And our way of practicing it is just one way. There are a multitude of methodologies and teachers and approaches to Dreamwork. So we want to be clear to say this is not the way to do Dreamwork. It is a way to do Dreamwork, and there are infinite ways that we can engage with and work with our dreams.
And with that, it's dream work in any form done consciously is disrupting modernity, and it's overvaluing of rationality. That even like what Stephanie said, there's one way to do a thing, and our stance is actually there's many, many ways. And it's really, can we listen deeply to what's resonating with us and follow that thread, and then make room for other people's way of engaging with dreams as well.
Mm-hmm. We see dream work as intercultural, that dreams are a universal human experience, and not just human. We'll get to that in a moment. That can bridge and engage our cultural differences and similarities and can spark discovery in our sharedness. And Minna and I, as she mentioned, we did this when we met in Mexico in a space similar to Ecoversities, a very global community. And the one article we wrote was about Dreamwork as an intercultural peace learning practice.
So as Stephanie was alluding to, it's not just humans. We're not the only ones who dream. There have actually been documented cases of animals dreaming. You've probably, if you have a animal sibling or family member, you've probably seen them like in their dream state. We heard the quote that Stephanie just shared at the beginning about the land dreaming through us. Bad Bunny's song is an example of that. I shared about my ancestors dreaming through me or communicating through this dream portal. So it's interspecific as well.
And dream work and working with our dreams is an indigenous and ancestral way of knowing that we all have access to. So for some of us, so speaking for myself, like I'm cut off from many ancestral practices and connection to the original lands of my ancestors. But I know that my ancestors dreamed too. I know that they at some point in history would have valued dreams. And so for me, dream work is a way of practicing that kind of reclamation of ancestral practices. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you got it. Yeah. And Katie, you were sharing, was it Katie or no, it was Sarah. You were sharing about your paintings. Yeah, we really see dreams as relational. It's building a relationship with the dream world. So then there's the reciprocity that we want to honor. And it's between the seen and the unseen realm, which modernity does not acknowledge unseen realms. And so for us, this is also a reclamation of saying there's more than what we can sense in this physical space.
And as the title of this workshop alluded to, Dreamwork is pluriversal. So pluriversality is often described as many worlds existing within this world. Dreamwork is a way that we can directly experience that. We experience the dream world and we experience our waking life. And it's also, when we do it together, we really can experience pluriversal perspectives. So any one dream, when looked at by a group of people, will have an infinite multitude of meanings and significance and questions. And dream work is a way of touching into pluriversality.
All right. Feel free to take a moment to let that sink in because we just shared a lot. We're going to next move into how we're going to be in the space together. So just let that sink in a little. If there's a word that you want to pop into the chat, if there's a movement, feel into your body, see how that's landing for you there. Just take note of that. Okay, so how are we going to be in this space together for the next hour? In this space, we're releasing any expectations. There's no one answer. We're releasing anything making any real sense. The not making sense is also welcome. And this need for meeting, right? Like in modernity, I often find myself in the conditioning of like needing something from it. And Dreamwork has been an amazing practice for me to just be with the mystery and just to say, oh, I actually am moving away with more confusion or question. And that's an okay space to be in. I'm going to invite the mystery in here too.
Hmm. We practice leaning into emergence, which I feel like rec as a whole is a practice in that. But Dreamwork is a wonderful way to lean into that, including asking more questions. So when you're working with a dream, when in doubt, ask a question about it. And we'll give you some sample generative questions in a minute.
And Stephanie shared that when a dream is shared into the space, we're all sort of like tending to it together. We do want to make it a point like the dreamer, that dream came through that person. So while that dream interpretation for them ultimately belongs to them, it can touch on things for all of us. So when I've heard other people share their dreams, it'll give me insights about my own life. And I can say, oh, that dream reminds me of when this thing happened to me. And it actually helps me to process something. So that dream actually ends up aiding more than just the dreamer.
In Dreamwork, we welcome all emotions. So just even in our introductions, that it was noted that like it's not all like fairies and happy things showing up in our dreams. And in the practice of Dreamwork, we're trying to welcome the whole of our experiences. So all emotions are welcome. And dreams, that's also a wonderful question to always ask is like, what was the feeling of a dream? As well.
And with that, sometimes the emotions can feel really vulnerable to share or really intense. So if there is something that is going to be shared into the space that feels sensitive or intense, just please name that so that the group is prepared and also we're going to trust that everyone can name what doesn't work for them. And so we'll leave that to you to just trust each other with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In this practice, we really try to slow down. Dreams invite us to slow down. We welcome silence, deep breath, somatic thinking, grounding, and we will do a little grounding together in a minute. And we are going to look at dreams and practice with them in a few minutes.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh, that's the part that feels the most awkward for me is, oh, no one's speaking, like there's that weird awkward silence. And Dreamwork has actually helped me to become more comfortable with that. Maybe let the silence linger a bit longer than you're comfortable with and just see what emerges or see what's landing. And with that, just be generous with our time. Let's practice the generosity of what the dream is offering us and allow the dream to be in the space as long as it needs to. So we're not going to be giving any strict boundaries like, oh, only 5 minutes per person. Who knows what's going to come up? It may be a couple minutes for one person. It may be 10 minutes for another. And knowing that the shares, it becomes like the collective for the collective. So we're all receiving and tending to the dream together.
Mm-hmm. And maybe just the last thing I'll say, and this is not in the handout, but it's connecting it to the theme of the conference around reimagining education. Dreams are just such an amazing technology for disrupting linear thinking, uh, uh, disrupting many of the habits that we've learned through formal schooling. And also playing with other ways of being and relating. And And so hopefully you'll just have an experience of that. In the chat, Mina's putting some examples of generative questions that we often use when we're working with dreams, but this is a totally non-exhaustive list. It's more for inspiration. Yeah. So I think I'm going to move into grounding. Could we just check the chat real quick?
Yeah, we're just gonna take a moment to check in with the chat for a moment. So just settle into the questions, settle into starting of a grounding. Okay, great. Okay. So wherever you are, begin to deepen your breath. And if you want to close your eyes, you can, or draw your eyelids down to a soft gaze. And begin to deepen your inhales. And make your exhales a little longer than your inhales. Become aware of the parts of your body that is making contact with the ground. And that ground is making contact with the earth. Breathe deeply and fully into the full shape of you, honoring the ecosystem that is in this landscape of you. If there are parts of your body that feel tense, bring some breath to that area without forcing it to release. Just acknowledge. And as you continue to breathe deeply, bring your awareness now to the circle that is us in this Zoom space. Imagine the 19 of us in a circle, shoulder to shoulder, creating a current of interbeingness, togetherness. And as you continue to breathe, zoom out a little bit and now bring the awareness to the land that is holding us. The land that is inspiring us, always communicating with us, to listen deeply, to be open to the land dreaming through us. And all the different parts of the world that we're coming in is showing up here too. Zoom out a little more. And now bring your awareness to the unseen realms, the cosmos, ancestral realms. And know that they are also part of our community Dreamwork. Take the next 3 deep breaths at your own pace and bring the layers of awareness and connection back into your body. Maybe at the end of an exhale, you can sigh, take a deep breath out. And at the end of your 3rd exhale, just notice, come to stillness and notice yourself in this very moment. Maybe connecting with the parts of your body, touching the earth again. And slowly flutter your eyes open. Maybe bring some stretch in. Look around the physical space you're in. And look around the Zoom, acknowledging one another. All right. Okay, now Stephanie and I are gonna actually model how we do dream work before we send you. Oh, we can't do small
We
breakout
won't be
rooms.
able to do breakouts.
We won't be able to do breakouts, so we'll all stay together. So Stephanie and I will model it, and then we'll invite you to share in a moment.
Oh, they said, okay. Cool. We'll do that in a little bit then.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Albert.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Albert. So I'm gonna share a dream I had last night, and I write them down. So I'm gonna kind of read from my notes, but also just riff a little bit. And so I invite you into this dream space with me. I'm walking on the sidewalk in this mountain town, and the city is doing construction on it. They are removing or adding some grates to the sidewalk. They are also adding hills where the sidewalk was flat. So you end up having to climb this extra elevation, which seems kind of annoying and cumbersome. When I get into town, I see that the skyline has changed and someone has built several large new buildings, and it seems very invasive. There are groups of guys sitting around in camping chairs in little groups talking. And I have to walk by them for some reason, and I don't like it. There's something about it that feels like I'm wary of it, but it's fine. It ends up being fine. There's something about airplane tickets and waiting to be handed a new one. And the airline attendant announces that they were ready. So I and other people start going up. I noticed that other people weren't giving him their passport, but I gave him mine anyway. And he said, "You don't need this," and tossed it back at me, and it fell on the floor as he handed me my ticket. I quickly picked it up and thought the whole situation was weird. I was playing this funny improv game with someone that maybe involved ping pong balls. And we were just kind of going back and forth with this silly game, and it was really fun. And then I woke up. So I'll share a few reflections from my own. So this was last night. So in the rec portal that we are all in. I mean, some of the things that stood out to me, the person building buildings in the little town, it felt like someone like Donald Trump, like someone just building tall buildings because they want to, take up that space. It felt like that kind of invasiveness. The guys sitting around in the camping chairs mirrored the US men's hockey situation. Like it really kind of touched that. I don't know if you all saw that situation where Donald Trump called the US men's hockey team and made this like denigrating comment about the women's hockey team, and all the men of the US men's hockey team laughed about it. And there was something about the men in the chairs that felt like that kind of a situation, and I was wary of it. And then the improv game definitely felt like it came out of yesterday's Reimagining Cafe, and some other things. I think at some point we had been given a prompt. It was in the Reimagining Cafe and told to ping pong, like to go back and forth. And that session as a whole was just very playful. And yeah, so it felt like it fed into the dream. It showed up in that way in the dream. And I woke up from the dream. That was the last little vignette, really like wishing I could remember the details of the game. Like the game was really fun in the dream. I was like, oh, I wish I could remember what exactly we were playing. But it was like the fun energy of yesterday permeated into the dream. So those were kind of the things that stood out to me, but I welcome you or any of our friends to ask questions or share any reflections you have about it.
Yeah. I do have a question. You named that this town that you were in, there was construction happening grates being put into the sidewalk, hills being put in, so then now you have to walk up more. I'm curious what you make of like the topography being manipulated.
Yeah, I don't know what it was like the sidewalk just went up in these really kind of steep, it was annoying. It felt like someone making something unnecessarily cumbersome, and they were adding to it. Like it was already flat. Um, I don't know in my waking life, like what that points to, but it kind of, yeah, it makes me wonder, like, what is being made harder than it needs to be? Or like, where is something being added that, like, is making things harder?
Because then you mentioned this construction area also had this like sort of Trump kind of energy. Was that tied to it at all?
No, I mean, it was all part of the same place. But the towers, like the tall buildings, felt like the city was doing the sidewalk, but there was like a person associated with the tall buildings.
Yeah. I'm wondering if the group of men that you walked by, at first you said you felt weary, but when you walked by them, you felt okay. What is that? What's that doing for you?
Yeah, like I didn't feel in danger. And yeah, like nothing happened. Yeah, I think the situation, the situation with this thing that happened with the hockey feels like, I don't know, many situations I've experienced in life. I'm sure many of us have. And yeah, I don't know. Did it like I got through it. I got through it. But it had that like the wariness. Yeah.
Okay. Something coming up can I share what's coming up for me? When you were naming the buildings going up, side grates being put in, hills being put in, it made me think about the world building that happens in modernity. There's just like a lot of manipulation, like not in a good way. It just feels, and even this like presence of like, there's this presence that you sense with all these buildings going up. It made me think about, okay, just even the awareness of that helps to disrupt that. It's like we're in rec right now, and we're doing a kind of world building that is the antithesis of what we're seeing in modernity. So yeah, even if it was a little bit annoying or even disturbing with this Trump figure, to me, it's like, oh, right. Just being having the consciousness, the awareness is really critical so that my world building isn't that.
Yeah, I love that.
Is there anything coming up from the group? Any questions or anything that it's touching in your own life? Feel free to unmute or put it into the chat.
Curious, Stephanie, you use after. You said something about like getting tickets to a plane, and then other people were having like harder time with their paperwork than you were. Was that sort of? I think was a little confused there. What happened there?
No, because it was confusing.
Yeah.
It was like we all needed to be reissued plane tickets. I think we were all going on the same flight. And so it was like an airline ticket counter situation, but people were going up and just getting the ticket. You know, usually you have to hand them your passport. They always want to see your passport before they give you a ticket. And people weren't doing that and were getting their tickets. But I handed my passport just out of habit. Like they,
Mm.
need to receive the passport. And the guy was kind of not rude, like a little bit flippant, but just kind of like, oh, you don't need that, and like brushed it aside and it fell on the floor. So it was kind of abrupt and a little bit jarring. But then he gave me the ticket. Um,
What was your like feeling during that interaction?
yeah, that's a great question. Well, confused. I was confused by the
Mm.
lack of need to show the passport, and then a little confused why he was like he didn't want to see it and was so kind of flippant and blasé with it. Um, yeah, I mean, I travel a lot. Like, I'm not sure exactly what, what it's speaking to in my life, aside that I'm like often engaged with, yeah, air travel. And
Did,
yeah, Theodora saying no borders. I mean, the interesting thing was like not needing the passport. Like, that's my dream world. Like, we don't need to give the passport. We can just go. So yeah, I love that observation. Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, but don't I need this? And it was like, no. Yeah, I love that take on it.
just as you were talking about world building and the modernity of world building and Trump's world building, which will include a lot more needs for a lot more paperwork for specific people, and like where do you line in that? That seems like there's some questions in there around, yeah, I don't know. It does feel like different worlds being built and competing.
Absolutely. And I think this connects with Adrian's comment in the chat. I heard you say the buildings and the gesture of the buildings was somewhat to take up that space. This resonated with me as the space between the material and the imaginal being impeded on, like the dream space itself is being occupied by the construction. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that, Adrian. That is what it was like this very cute, quaint, kind of traditional mountain town. I don't know where it was. It could have been in like the Rocky Mountains somewhere, which is a place where I've spent some time. And yeah, it was this cute town, but then yeah, the sidewalk being laid down and like awkward sidewalk, and then these kind of bigger towers. It was this like, yeah, taking up of space that didn't it felt wrong. It felt wrong in the dream. Um, yeah, I appreciate those observations and connections.
Um, yeah, Nissa, you bringing up the airport makes me think about, for me, airports symbolize a liminal space. So, like in this liminal space, and I feel like we're all kind of in this collective liminal space of this uncertainty and the great turning that Joanna Macy talks about. And it's like in this liminal space, the confusion of not needing passports may be pointing towards something really great.
Mm.
At least that's how I'm taking that for myself. Yeah.
Mm.
Anything else, Stephanie?
Mm. I'm feeling complete with it. Or is there anyone else who has like a burning question or observation about it? We can give it a little space. Well, thank you all for holding that dream with me. And yeah, we wanted to share that. I mean, one of the reasons we wanted to share that, we were waiting between the two of us to see like what arose from our dream realm to see what we would share with you. We were checking in earlier and Mina said, well, I don't have a dream. And I said, well, I had a dream. It wasn't really anything like groundbreaking, but there's always stuff there. And a dream can seem like nothing, But if you turn it over, and especially if you can turn it over with another person or other people, yeah, there's just infinite possibilities. Even if it's just one image, there's often so much depth and richness within it.
And I received as much from Stephanie's dream. I didn't expect to. And that often happens in community dream work. It's like, oh, it's touching things in me and helping me to make sense of my internal landscape. So yeah, it becomes ours in that way too. Okay, so we're gonna move into small breakout rooms so that you all can practice with each other. You see, it's pretty like I saw in the chat like I'm looking for more tools. I'm looking for ways to deepen. Stephanie and I are really careful that we're not teachers of dream interpretation or anything like that. We're more like we were having a conversation. We're like trying to build a relationship with it. And in the relationship, the wisdom gets revealed. How does the dream want to be related to? How do you want to relate to the dreams? And I know from myself, I've practiced with different modalities. Like I've looked to different dream teachers to try different things out. And for this piece, we really invite you to see the dream as like its own Zoom box here with us, right? It's not 18 of us, it's 19 of us here. And so how is the dream, spirit of the dream asking you to relate to it or they or them or whatever the pronouns the dream has? So let's go into breakout rooms there's maybe we'll stay out, maybe like 3 to 4 people. Albert, if you could put them in for 3 to 4 and then maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. So when you land in your space, just see who has a dream that they feel willing to share. If anyone doesn't want to go to a breakout, you're welcome to hang back. But yeah, does that work for everyone? Cool. Oh, I can't. So when we come back, we'll do a little bit of harvesting together and sharing of experience. I can't wait to hear how your experiences are.
One thing that's going to help with just like flow, when somebody shares a dream, you can decide if you want to simply share it to be witnessed, or if you want to say, I invite questions and feedback. Either one. And then when you're complete, the dreamer says, I feel complete. And then check in with the group. Does the group also feel complete? Because once it's shared, it becomes the collective, right? So yeah, just to help you move things along in a more easeful way. Okay. Albert, we are ready. We won't go in. Albert, we'll stay in the main room.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to start the timer for 15 minutes.
Or are you able to add a timer, Albert, to the breakout room? If not, that's okay too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We can just give them a 2-minute warning or something like that. Thank you.
If folks who are staying here, if you want to share dreams, I'm so happy to engage with your dreams.
That's very personal.
It can feel
That's
really
the beauty
vulnerable.
of it. Yeah.
Totally.
Vishwa. Okay.
I love that Vishwa is in a semi-dream space over there.
Oh, hello, Yvette. I was just going to escape from this situation, running into that breakout room, but you came here first.
Oh, you bet your background is amazing, taking me into the dream space.
Yeah,
Hi,
some of
Nissa.
us live there.
Did your small group not work out?
Yeah,
There was nobody in
because you
there.
were assigned
There was no one in
Minna
mine.
and Stephanie.
Oh, well, then we can be a group here. Do either of you want to share a dream? Oh, or let's see. Are we recording right now?
No, I don't think we started.
Okay.
Yes, we are
We
recording.
Okay.
Should I stop the recording?
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Exactly, it's very
I was
personal,
okay
right?
sharing mine and knowing it was for you. You know, how did it feel to share your dream? How did it feel to receive others' dreams? Um, what did you notice? What are you leaving with you? And yeah, maybe even think about how you might bring this into your life, work, or communities. And we'll pop those questions in the chat. But if anyone would like to share how that was, yeah, feel free to raise your hand. I'll just say we were gifted in the main room with Yvette's beautiful mind and heart. We went on a Willy Wonka fantastic voyage. And it was incredible. And I think one of the things that I love so much about Dreamwork, and someone put this in the chat a little bit earlier, like it's very vulnerable to share your dreams. Um, and there is like a sense of trust needed. And I feel like doing it in the context of this conference community, you know, that trust is being built, hopefully. Um, but yeah, you get to know people so deeply, so quickly. Like I don't know any other way of knowing people so deeply and quickly as sharing dreams with them. So that's just one of my reflections, but I'll open it up to all of you. And yeah, thank you, Yvette, for letting us know you and your dream.
I can share with my voice. Hey, everybody. So I won't share the dream here just because it's very convoluted, but it had to do with many rooms and many different parts. And one of the most key parts of the dream was having my teeth fall out. And when I looked at them, they were painted stones. Um, and and I've been stuck with that. Like teeth stuff always freaks me out in dreams because I wake up and I'm constantly like, but are my teeth okay? Because I would like them to be okay. And so the teeth stuff has been really great. And I was in room with Adrian, and they really offered a lot around the stone piece. And what painted stones, and that just took me into a whole much more exploratory space about like what is my connection with painted stones, you know, from like Neolithic eras and things like that. But also there's a mountain nearby me that actually has it's a mountain made of stone, and the stones are moving. But the way that they mark the path is with stones. And so it really just brought me to some place that felt, I think from the dream, I was feeling like anxious or concerned. I was like, I don't know, am I missing something? To a place of feeling actually like connected to a piece of nature that I really love. And this idea of you know, these stones being markers, right, for my direction. So I really appreciated the ability to just be in this space and then offer that and be offered to in that way. So thanks, y'all.
Oh, thank you, Emmanuel. And I'm so happy it was 100% awesome. Yay. Is there anyone else who'd like to share how your experience was?
Mm, sorry, I can't be on video. Um, but yeah, I had a really beautiful community share with two gorgeous beings in this space. It was a really curious little dream about globes and what we were kind of then sharing collectively in the group. I really didn't was the different components of the world that screams the me, mine, colonizer, settler mindset, and what we can carry from that, what we have to unlearn from that, what is not ours at all. And then also this deep interconnection, this beautiful space of connecting through the cosmos, connecting through the planet, the community of nature, the community of beings across time and space, swirling through this deep, deep universe that we're all part of. And it was, I don't know, it was really magical. I wasn't expecting it to be as deep. So for my first ever community Dreamwork experience, that was amazing, and big thank you to the two people who shared that space with me.
That is so beautiful, Thea. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it is bringing me so much joy to hear how magical it was and that it was surprising. I feel like it surprises me all the time, and we do it all the time. Like I feel surprised right now.
Yeah, I am. As you were sharing that, I just feel so humbled. Before offering community dream work, there's that very human brain conditioned to modernity part of me that says, why would people want this? What will people take away from this? And I always am reminded at the end of these sessions that it is life, it is the dream that is really facilitating this space right now. And I just have to let go and trust and allow for what needs to emerge, happen. And so I'm just feeling super humbled. Just want to really honor that invisible Zoom box of just our dream right there to say thank you. Thank you for, you know, gifting us with this experience.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel really honored to have been in conversation with Thea and Katie. I'm really in awe of like the process and just like the imagery of Thea's dream was so vivid, um and there was so much messaging in it, and the collective experience is so connective, not just between the three of us, but also with this like cosmic, like the cosmic channeling. And Emmanuel, just listening to your dream, I like want to ask you questions too, because I have a number of dreams around my teeth falling out as well. And it was so cool to hear you and like think about our teeth as like markers of, like it's very cool, like this whole process. So yeah, just a lot to chew on. Thank you.
Mm. So happy. Um, yeah, just so happy you all had a profound experience with it. Yvette said in the chat, trust is deep medicine. And Thea, there was something the two of those comments, Thea, you said something that also made me think of this quote from Vanessa Machado de Oliveira, who wrote Hospicing Modernity and Outgrowing Modernity. We have to trust the invisible to make the impossible possible when we're working in an entangled way. And it means, yeah, like when you understand that the world is relational and completely intermeshed and beyond interconnected, like you can't see everything. And there's so much beyond what we can see in the like physical material realm. And of course, modernity, one of the things it's done is, overvalued that and prioritized that and valued these linear rational ways of knowing. And yeah, our dreams. One of the teachers, a Dreamwork teacher, her name's Tokopa Turner, talks about dream work as a way of weaving the seen and unseen realms together and navigating our relationship, deepening our relationship between the seen and unseen. So yeah, and I feel like you're all speaking to all of that and just encouraging all of us to trust the invisible even more. Any last shares or anything? And then move into,
I do want to say one last thing.
yeah.
First of all, I want to thank the crew of goodness that supported me in sharing this dream and took it in and asked such meaningful questions. I appreciate you all. Um, and I also want to name um, something that a friend of mine said to me that really helped me to shift my thinking when my dreaming process was still kind of, it was just where it was. It wasn't where hers was, but it was where it was. And she said to me when I said, "Oh, I'm so jealous of all the things you've been able to do," she said, "Don't be jealous. Be inspired." I'm like, oh, and
Yes,
there you
thank
go.
you. That is really the spirit of our dream worlds. When we're sharing it, we can inspire each other. We can even heal each other. I know that I was healed. Yeah, you were talking about these scary dreams you have. Me too. And in the sharing, I was able to someone mentioned the word befriend. I was actually able to like find ways to befriend. It took a long time. It took support, and it's shifting. It's starting to take a different shape. And so the inspiration is, yeah, I'm really feeling that. Thanks, Yvette.
Hmm. Emmanuel asked in the chat if we've seen dreams overlap in dream. I mean, you have a cool story about
I
that.
do.
I mean, I'll just say, yeah, I mean, even just now, so if Yvette Yvette and Thea both had dreams. Like, yeah, Yvette and I were like laughing at each other on the Zoom box when Thea was sharing about that because there was so much, like they both dreamed about these like many rooms. So I feel like it's often an experience. And then of course, when you actually, like if you're living with someone or you're doing dream work together, you notice a lot more of those like themes. But do you want to share your story?
Yeah. So I was, this was in a training course, and one of the teachers, she does yoga nidra, and so she was guiding us through that. There were two people in the very front who were lying next to each other through the session. When everyone woke up and sharing about how that experience was, their dreams intersected each other. They had the exact same dreams, and they were like coming in and out of each other's dreams. Um, I've also had instances where I have had a dream for someone. I'm like, I think this is for you. And they're like, oh my gosh, I was just wondering about that. And so actually, Stephanie dreamt something for me for the Casa. Now I don't remember the dream, but we sometimes are the portals for the dreams to come through for other people in the same way the land dreams through us. So like Bad Bunny's beautiful music, healing music out in the world, right? So we're all interconnected and we're all portals for each other. Okay. Yes. Thanks, Albert, for that time check. So to close us out in this really dreamy space, we'd love to close it with a blessing. And after we share this blessing, I'll put it into the chat and maybe I'll invite somebody else's voice in to read it for us.
May we honor our dreams as a primordial oracle, ancient and alive. May we reclaim dream work as a sacred practice with the self and with one another. May we free ourselves from the bounds of rational thinking, co-creating with the great mystery through our dreams and dream work for a liberated world within and without.